Hi guys, welcome back to another video in the series of currency. Today we'll be talking about how bank-like institutions were used to support merchants in trading, looking at it through the lens of the ORTOGH, a trading and economic institution in the Yuan Dynasty that provided cheap loans to long-distance merchant associations. Before we get onto the impact of ORTOGH on trade and other things, we first need to discuss the ORTOGH and what they actually were. During the dynasties before the Yuan, the Silk Road, the main way of travel between Asia and Europe, was very dangerous. Not only were there constant threats of bandits, but the terrain and natural environment itself was dangerous and uninviting. Previously, merchants would form caravans, groups of merchants that would travel together, splitting the cost and making the journey less difficult. ORTOGH were similar merchant groups, but were different in that they were provided official government money or loans for their travels. There were two types of ORTOGH. The first type was profit-sharing ventures. The government would provide merchants with traveling and other costs to reduce their risk. The money that the merchants earned would then be split at a predetermined ratio. The problem with this method was that there's no way to hold merchants accountable for any losses that they gathered throughout their journey, and so a lot of the time the investor covered all of the losses. Many took advantage of this by doing more risky ventures. This led to the development of the second type of ORTOGH, which was loans. While ordinary citizens, if they could get access to any loans at all, got their loans from the government for around 3% interest rate, while ORTOGH could get it for just 0.8%. ORTOGH played a role in increasing trade in the Yuan Dynasty. It reduced the risk for merchants to travel on the road by alleviating a lot of the financial burden. ORTOGH was more likely to risk long-distance travels if they had incentive to do so. Extremely cheap government loans meant that merchants were able to buy and sell more items, earning more profit. These merchants were also provided other benefits such as tax exemptions and use of certain infrastructure on the Silk Road. As more and more merchants took up this offer, it also naturally increased the volume of trade on the road. It created a signaling effect as well. Merchants from foreign lands became more aware of not only the riches of the Yuan Dynasty, but also the perceived safety of the Silk Road, making it more appealing for normal merchants to travel as well. However, when compared to other policies by the Yuan Dynasty, the ORTOGH did not seem to have that significant of an effect. For example, the improvement of infrastructure and safety on the Silk Road had a larger impact. While the ORTOGH benefited a small group of merchants, the policies of improving the Silk Road benefited all merchants. As Mongol Empire controlled most of Eurasia for some time, they acted as a stabilizing force for trade. This was confirmed by many contemporary sources, such as Atta Malik Giuliani and Francesco Balducci Pegelotti, both having some experience in travel on the Silk Road. They stated that traveling on the Silk Road became much safer with less threat of bandits and other dangers that might compromise an expedition. The ORTOGH also had a negative political influence. Not only were loans provided to these merchants for trading, but also for abusive loans to the Chinese population. ORTOGH would often use the money they were given to provide abusive high-interest loans to Chinese citizens that were struggling to pay tax or were defaulting on loans. Due to their desperate nature, these merchants sometimes charged up to 200 to 300% interest rates. The government set in place a rule that local officials had to repay ORTOGH if their borrowers defaulted on loans. This created a cycle where ORTOGH gave exclusive loans, forcing officials to increase tax to compensate defaulting people, which caused more people to request loans, causing a cycle. This policy was extremely unstable and unsustainable, showing that ORTOGH might not have been a long-term trading policy or trading strategy, but a private venture for Mongol officials to earn money. The ORTOGH was similar to another trading institution called the Kommenda in the Middle Ages. These were similar partnerships to the profit-sharing ventures of the ORTOGH. The merchants did not bear the losses of the voyage, but would split the profits at a predetermined ratio. These were different from ORTOGH, however, in that they were mainly private ventures not directly involved with the government. Thus, they were more likely to face scrutiny, and so they did not become abusive like the ORTOGH. They purely did maritime trading journeys. Thus, perhaps the abusive nature of ORTOGH was not because of the harms of trading partnerships, but due to the vested interest and corruption in the Mongol Empire. In conclusion, although potentially originating as a trading policy, the ORTOGH became a way for Mongol elite to achieve their private aims. As ORTOGH made the dynasty incur high levels of debt, it can be attributed as one of the reasons for the fall of the Mongol rule. Thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something interesting. Next episode will be the last one in the series on currency. It'll be covering the development of the free market. See you then!